Into the Erd Tree we go. Oh shit, this is so cool. Oh. Ah, my eyes. Fuck, that hurts. Radagon. So Radagon's a chick. Ah, you motherfucker. Oh shit, that's gonna blow up, isn't it? Holy fuck. Ouch. That got me. What? Okay, I'm dead. Damn, he baited me. Oh, I died. What is that insanely slow wind up? Oh, no. Ah, you fucker. Ouch. Get out, get out, get out. How do you dodge that shit? I'm dead. He had 1 HP left. Oh. Ah, so roll too fast. How'd that hit me? Yeah, that hit me. How am I supposed to deal with that? Oh, God. Just every move. Every move is just designed to do AoE, and it's really hard to dodge. But holy means that I can't, That's so dumb. I wonder if I can jump that. Seriously? This is annoying. What? Okay, so I can jump that big thing. Oh, finally. Oh, thank God. What in the fuck is that thing? Elden Beast. I can't see. Uh-oh. Why is it so far away, man? Like... What is that? What is that? What is that? Can't see. Is this like the trick of the boss? You just can't see? What's it doing now? Uh-oh. Didn't time that very well. What the fuck is this shit? How am I supposed to dodge that? Never mind, huh? I'm so over this fucking boss, bro. What is this input read? Bullshit, man. I press square and he just instantly attacks. God damn it. So annoying, man. How am I supposed to dodge that? That move is so crap. I just can't deal with it. Dude. Let's try and jump over it. Oh. I'm so stupid. I could have been there. No way! Oh, maybe I can jump over them. Oh, finally. God slain, huh? Oh, nice. Okay. I guess I can do the ending now, right? But I don't think I will just yet. So there are a lot of like cuts of me dying and so on and so forth, obviously. Incredible fight. Well, by incredible I mean like it's not credible. It's a fight that was a real big pain in the ass, but it is what it is. It's done. I want to see. Ah, nice, the hammer. Hmm. Was there any armor? No. That was a really tricky boss fight. I don't think it was, I mean, I didn't personally enjoy it really that much. I think Radagon was a bit annoying to deal with, but, I mean, it was what it was. It didn't really bother me. I changed, so you might have noticed a bit of a change up. So I swapped from the bloody slash to back to unsheath, and I made it quality. And the reason why I did that is because it did a bit more damage with my ability and the way that my stats are set up. So it looked like I would be able to easily, you know, what the fuck's it called? Something. Oh, because I just keep using the heavy attack, it was faster. So I ended up doing that. I'm going to swap it back to bloody slash though, obviously. Let's see how much the soul is worth. 50. This is a really, really long part. I might split it into two, don't know. But it is a very long part. I can level up 3 times. Well, I don't know. Maybe I will level up. Maybe I'll keep my souls. Maybe I'll do a whole bunch more farming and level myself up. But again, I mean, I've got the ending of the game to go to, and I will end up Googling a whole bunch of... Shall I just go collect my souls? I will end up Googling what sort of bosses that I've missed, and I might end up doing those if that's something that, you know, will end up being beneficial. I don't have any issue here right now. There's no point picking up these souls anyway, because there's none. But yeah, I guess I figure out what to do now.
fallen leaves tell a story of how a tarnished became Elden Lord. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Our seed will look back upon us and recall an age of fracture.
Elden Ring. I'm a big FromSoft fan, and I've played all of the other games and beaten them numerous times. And as of recording this, I've finished my playthrough and I've done some additional bosses ready to upload post-game. For reference, I'm no Soul Level 1 no-hit challenge god, but at least I'm competent and experienced enough that you can be assured that any of my criticisms are not as a result of ineptitude. In order to break down my thoughts on this monster of a game, and of course draw comparisons between earlier games in the franchise, I will be breaking them down into sections. Of course, understand that these are my experiences, and as such yours will differ to mine. First up, the world, the story, and the music. I have to say, the world is fucking beautiful. It's honestly probably the best looking and most aesthetic world in any FromSoft game I've ever played. Sekiro is a close second, and an honourable mention. Some areas of Elden Ring, like Mount Galmir, Caelid, Mountaintops of the Giants, and the tranquil plains of Limgrave are just on another level. I really enjoy the Divine Towers immensely, despite them just being empty towers. The gravity of the world and the gods really weighed in with me. Leonia had the most complex and engaging Divine Tower runs, although in saying that, the existence of Leonia's Divine Tower and its intricacies really made me wish that the other Divine Towers had mechanics or challenges, puzzles similar to that one. Combine these areas with the fact that there is to some degree dynamic weather and you have a match made in heaven. I love the idea of that weather and the storm in these areas, but I wish they could have done a bit more with it. For example, make stealth a bit easier due to the noise suppression that the rain would give you. However, on the other hand, all of the additional areas of the game, and I'm looking at you dungeons and caves, are just copy and pastes of themselves and get so tedious and fucking boring that by the end I really didn't want to explore all those bits and pieces. It's so shallow and empty. I forced myself to look for caves for upgrade stones, which if I knew earlier you could buy with bells, I would have skipped all of them from the get-go. The story, as per usual, is out there to be found, but what I did find, and the gist of what I got, was that the Erd Tree is a blessing on every being with the lands between from the Greater Will, and that the Elden Ring, a series of runes it seems rather than an actual ring, being shattered has severed that connection, which causes tarnished. Thus, it's up to you to find the runes that make up the Elden Ring and repair it, or not. You know, classic FromSoft story stuff. But the difference here that I find is that the characters seem far more personable and offer a bit more to the story than previous games. How much of this is up to George R. R. Martin and Miyazaki, I don't know, but perhaps that is a key factor in the difference between Elden Ring and previous titles, or perhaps I'm misremembering what NPCs in previous games were truly like. Unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not too big on background music and ambient music. I liked boss music, and I've listened to all the OSTs, with some standouts being Lich Dragon Fortisax, Melania, and Godric the Grafted's track, to name a few. But the ambient music that constantly plays just doesn't really sit well with me. I draw fun and exploration from no sounds and hearing the noises that the world has to offer to draw me in, but perhaps that's just me. Despite my love of the aesthetics of the world, I feel like it is too big for the sake of it. Some Shards of Grace are literally a 30-step walk from the last one, others are less than a 1-minute run or a 20-second horse ride. There's enough unique content there to reduce the world by 20%, cut a lot of the reused assets, and make it a more meaningful, explorative experience. This isn't an open world problem, this is a problem with making the world larger than it needs to be, and Breath of the Wild suffers from this to a similar degree as well. By the time I got to Altus, there seemed to be nothing more to do in the world than just to run around and kill things. Some of the areas have great puzzles, and honestly, doing the painting puzzles post-game was some of the best things I had done for exploration and problem solving. Although most open world games will have similar looking areas and reused assets, so at the end of the day, it is what it is. Next up, mechanics and systems. Okay, so there have been a lot of frustrating moments that I've had in this game. I've noticed that there has been way more instances of stored roles, stored attacks, and stored inputs in this game than ever before. This could be down to a couple of things, and I'm not a gaming or coding expert, but I'm sure it runs off of the same engine as Dark Souls 3. It would be worth me going back to Dark Souls 3 to see if I have these experiences or not, but I don't seem to recall them that often. So that bothered me. Another thing that bothered me, but was manageable, was the horse torrent. I initially disliked riding the horse due to its clunky, quick-turning mechanics, but in comparison to your character, it makes sense. It makes sense that a large being such as a horse can't turn on a dime like a human can. Regardless, there were some issues that I just couldn't shake. Horse combat, in my opinion, sucks a fat cock. It literally is just a dine and dash of slashing and dashing and repeating until either you or the opposition dies. Nothing too nuanced here, which is fine, I guess, but it's not really inviting to want to practice or do all that often. Finally, the jumping and the stealth mechanic. Combined with the amazing world and the way that you navigate it, jumping feels funny, but really cool. I like how you now have another axis for exploration. In my Sekiro final thoughts, I mentioned how I was excited about the prospect of exploration, and that in reality you don't need a prosthetic arm to carry around a grapple, and you don't need to be a shinobi to learn how to swim or climb. I also mentioned that a lot of these quote-unquote Souls-like games can benefit from having an adventure-based or stealth-based combat system, or even a more inclusive and expansive interactive world. I stand by that. The jumping mechanic allows for that exploration, and sometimes to the detriment of the game platforming opportunities. However, we still can't swim. Imagine if there was some cool niche islands we could swim to, but I digress. Lastly, the stealth mechanic. I love the idea of this, but I fucking hate how it was executed. When the hell am I supposed to be in stealth? How am I meant to tell? One of my friends mentioned that it was based off of a musical change in volume, but if I play with no music, then how the fuck am I supposed to know? Insecure, the outsides of the screen would dull a little. Would that have been too difficult to implement, maybe? So many times in my playthrough, and even post-playthrough, I thought I was sneaking on an enemy, and I thought I was hidden, only to have the enemy beeline it to the bush and chop me a new one. The crafting system also baffled me. I crafted a little bit, probably like 50 things in total, maybe less, which is inexcusable with how many goddamn recipe books there are. There are 59 cookbooks in Elden Ring and a total of 128 unique objects to craft with those books. Of those 59, 25 of them give you one thing to craft and 13 give you two. 64.41% of the total cookbooks are responsible for only 39.84% of the total unique craftable objects. Why the fuck couldn't they or didn't they condense this shit? I can see why it would be helpful and amazing to utilize all these variety of items properly, and I can see how people can find uses for them, but unlike Sekiro, I didn't really feel the need to use anything that I got as a buff or whatever. Livers, meats, boluses, greases, pots, perfumes, just to name a few. I think the crafting system can be reworked to have less books offer way more, or just have some of the 812 merchants around the game actually sell you the variety of things in the crafting repertoire. I can't even begin to start on how fucky the camera was at times. How the fuck is it that they've had since 2017 to work on this with the same engine as Dark Souls 3 and not fix it or make it better? Why does the camera unlock when an enemy or boss is 10 feet in front of me yet hidden behind a pillar? This game is third person. My character not being able to see them directly is not an excuse. I, as the player, can still see the enemy and it's still within my fighting distance. Which brings me to my next point. Bosses, enemies in combat. So the combat in this game feels really nice and neat. It feels polished with very few moments of unfair hitboxes or janky controls, obviously setting aside the camera. One thing that I noticed is that bows, or any projectile at a range, sucks balls. Enemies just dodge that shit like it's nothing when you sit there trying to peg them with an arrow or whatever. One thing that this game seems to have way more than other previous games, and I'd really like an objective look if anyone has the data on it, is input reading. What in the name of fucking Christ is going on here? Who the fuck designed this shit? I can't count how many times an enemy, whether regular, field boss, mini boss, or actual boss, just flat out dodged my shit or went for an attack the exact frame I went to drink a flask. I get it, input reading is necessary for a dynamic and intense fight, but goddamn they went overboard with this shit. I wish I had footage of this, but I was helping a friend with the Godskin duo, and every time I would drink he cast a fireball. I tested it for shits and giggles. I drank 5 flasks in a row and he threw 5 fireballs in a row. That's just one out of dozens of examples. Next up, in my opinion, the weakest aspect of this game, and I really mean weakest, is the field and mini-bosses. Elden Ring has somewhere in the ballpark of 150 to 200 bosses, and something like 70% or more of those mini-bosses you can find in dungeons don't offer a worthwhile reward. This means you're not even getting something out of running through those bullshit reused assets, except of course for the 10% or so locations that are critical to quests and items, which aren't differentiated from the previously useless places in any meaningful way. Not only that, but I can't count how many times bosses, both mini bosses and field bosses, just get reused or flat out turn into regular enemies. Anyone who stands to criticize Dark Souls 1 or 2 for this surely can't say that these ones are done in any better way. And there are a total of 15 remembrance bosses in Elden Ring and countless reused ones. Some of the worst offenders are as follows. Knight's Cavalry appears 10 times. Crystallians and Erdtree avatars appear 8 times. Erdtree Burial Watchdogs appear 6 times. Misbegottens, Crucible Knights, Black Knife Assassins and Bell-Bearing Hunters all appear 5 times. Deathbird, Deathrightbird, Godskin Apostle, Godskin Noble, Tibia Mariner and Magma Worms all appear 4 times each. And those are just to name a few. Those 14 bosses I just listed make up 76 encounters, or close to the 50% estimated of total boss encounters. Now, I know you might say that some of these are up-jumped and glorified enemies, and I can agree with you there, but they have a boss health bar and therefore get added to the list. Of course, you have to juxtapose that with the actual Great Room bosses and the Remembrance bosses. They are among some of the best and strongest examples of what bosses should be like in the entire series. They range from aesthetically beautiful to acceptably challenging. However, I've always had a problem with the larger type enemies, and this game is no exception. From the Godskin duo onwards, there's not a single boss that could accurately be described as a well-tuned fight, and in previous games, bosses had different strengths and weaknesses and toolboxes, and now every boss just seems to have every fucking tool available. Long combos, multiple AoE attacks with them being tacked onto other moves, and then these AoE attacks have secondary AoE after effects, because why not? They're all incredibly mobile, they all hit like trucks, and make you regret having anything short of 40 vigor. They have ranged attacks in case you try to back it up, and close range flurries or AoEs in case you try to hug it close. And the worst of all, they all input read incredibly heavily to the point of it being obvious. As for enemies, past a certain point in the game, almost all non-fodder mobs have extended combos, fast movements, or the ability to stun lock, run away, or kill you within a couple of seconds if you slip up. I get it, mistakes are meant to happen, and that's what the flask system is for, to alleviate those mistakes. As each flask can be seen as a mistake on the board, and either you run out of mistakes to make or you kill the enemy. But it's hard to say that it's mostly fair when a single mistake can catch you in a stunlock combo and you just flat out die from it. Castle Sol has to be the worst offender for this, and in moderation this is fine, but when it's every 3rd or 4th encounter with a non-fodder mob, it simply begins to grate on you. I get that this is probably an unpopular opinion, and even some of my friends that I've discussed this with have disagreed with me here, but honestly, aside from the Remembrance or Great Room bosses, the bosses in this game are some of the worst FromSoft has ever made. In terms of cinema and visual design, Elden Ring are the best, hands down. In terms of gameplay, not even close. Just messes of AoE attacks and high damage. And if I attempt to compare them to bosses of the caliber of Ornstein and Smough and Champion Gundyr, Fume Knight, Sword Saint Ishin, Lady Maria, Calamite, Ludwig, Dancer of the Boreal Valley, or the Divine Dragon, we have some really interesting comparison points. Those aforementioned bosses are characterized by things like clear openings, precise timings, high but fair aggression, and damage output that's situationally high. Sure, some of them have big AoE attacks and nigh unreactable hitboxes, like Lady Maria's leap attack or a wind-up blood attack, but it almost never feels unfair. But against Elden Ring bosses, I find myself healing after every hit and having to essentially spam the roll button to get out of some attacks. And look, when it comes right down to it, I really didn't have fun against most of the bosses in Elden Ring. Very rarely did I have that, oh my god, that was fantastic, I can't believe it moment. For the most part, I had the, oh, fuck, thank god it's over. And that's not really what I expected. Maybe my opinion will change over time. By all means, try to talk me out of it and give me fresh perspectives. I really do want to like the vast array of bosses that this game has to offer. Finally, the overall experience. I've complained a lot and I've complimented, and at the end of the day, where does Elden Ring right now stand on my FromSoft list? The answer? Top 3? Top 4? Is this FromSoft's magnum opus? No, I don't think so. I would honestly try to rate it numerically, but then this would cause all sorts of consistency issues with others in the franchise. Question is, did I have fun? Yeah. The other question is, did I have fun? Also, no. Do I find it replayable? Not really. The beginning areas felt enjoyable and so fun to explore, and there were these really memorable moments looking back. There were times where I was absolutely wowed by what I had seen, and some of the Divine Tale runs instilled in me this absolute sense of something grand and larger than myself and ancient. The NPCs at least didn't feel crummy and hollow for the most part, and I enjoyed a lot of it. But I also looked back and didn't like a lot of things. The frustrating bosses, the repetitive nature of the dungeons, caves, mini-bosses, field bosses, the janky mechanics of the game, camera, stealth, and the horrendously convoluted crafting system make for things that dulled my experience. I would say for those of you interested, give it a go and explore as much as you can take. Give each rune and each remembrance boss a shot because they're the saving graces of the boss list here. Finish every divine tower and interact with as many NPCs and their quests as possible. Try different builds, see where it gets you, soak in the world and enjoy the aesthetic surroundings. Either way, I gave it my shot, and who knows, maybe after reflecting on this game in a couple of years, I can look back past all of these previous things I see as flaws. Regardless, stay tuned for some statistics about my playthrough, as I always do with these videos. My playthrough of Elden Ring was a long one indeed. My gameplay, totaling 53 hours, 16 minutes and 15 seconds, spread across 94 parts, is by far the longest video game series I have recorded so far. Across this fantastic journey in Elden Ring, I defeated a total of 54 mini-bosses and 12 remembrance bosses. This helped me on my way to level 136, clocking in with 50 Vigor, 12 Mind, 20 Endurance, 35 Strength, 40 Dexterity, 9 Intelligence and Faith, and 40 Arcane. Throughout my playthrough, I staggeringly clocked up a total of 152 deaths, far beyond what I accumulated in other games and far beyond what I expected myself to get. I made my way across the lands between without using any spells, relying on my sword-swinging arm and a lot of hope. I finished with talismans that bolstered my stamina regen, physical defense, equipment load, and elemental resistance. On top of that, my flask of wondrous physic only ever touched 2 tiers, Crimson Burst Crystal tier and the Opaline Bubble tier. The journey was a long one, which had its ups and downs, but despite my standing on things, I don't regret it at all. I wanted to play this game and finish what I could, and I hope you enjoyed sharing this experience and journey with me. Thank you for watching.